talking about building hot rods here. We're not talking about sugarcoating. We're talking about everything. Knuckle busting. The rust in your fucking eyes. We're talking about building fucking hot rods. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of It's All About the Build podcast.
And this is a special episode.
We didn't really have this planned until it happened.
Why don't you just tell the audience?
So, I guess this episode's going to turn into an informative episode.
A day in the life of I.B.F.HotRods
Yeah.
and Elliot and Randy.
Yeah, we're going to tell you, if you haven't been following us on any of our social media outlets, we had a 68 C10 in the shop. We'll actually start with Randy going over a little bit of it, just to give you an idea of what all we had to do. It was whenever we get these projects and we're told that they're, 90% finished, they got paint on them, the interior sitting inside of it, the wiring is not done, but, there's lights in it and everything, the chrome's on it and stuff. We're told that it's 90% done, and 9 times out of 10, what really is the percentage here that it's done, Randy? Would you say 50%?
I would say like 30.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably
40. 35 to 40 maybe.
Yeah, even though everything was in this truck, like I said, there was paint on it, chrome was on it, there was no windows?
There was no window. Well, the windows were in it. The door windows.
Door windows.
No windshield or rear window.
Yeah, and this is a 68 C10, and it had every single chrome package you could think of on it. And so the interior was a TMI interior. If you're not familiar with TMI, you can get, full-blown, almost remotely custom. You can custom that stuff from stitching to the pleather or leather, right, Randy?
Yeah, materials, colors, stitches, design, obviously. There's a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah, so there was all that. There was gauges, aftermarket gauges, and Teletronics gauges were there. What else was there? The wooden bed was in it.
The wooden bed, everything was there. The truck was painted, cleared and buffed, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it wasn't buffed. It was kind of in the middle of buffing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was buffed, but not.
It's kind of like they just stopped.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Paint was all right. It was just literally buff marks everywhere, kind of like, and there was compound in every single crevice, every nook and cranny.
Yeah.
All that shit. Underneath, when you crawled underneath, there was no e-brake, there was no e-brake cables, the shifter wasn't connected.
Nothing was officially finished on that truck.
Yeah. So even though it looked like, if you were to look at the truck sitting there, it did look 90% done. But like Randy said, he said 30%. I was going to give it 50, but we'll just go with 30%. How about that?
We'll meet in the middle. Go 40.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll do 40.
So 42% done. But just go over a little. We're gonna tell you guys about this truck, and we're gonna tell you about this truck. Came from Tennessee, which, if you don't know by now, that's where my wife and I moved from to Indiana. So we have worked on multiple vehicles down there, worked for many shops down there, and that's where this truck came from, was Tennessee. So the guy wanted me to finish it for him. I had talked to him years ago, probably a couple years ago now, and we talked about it, and then I moved up here, and he was kind of wishy-washy about bringing it up here, but then he really wanted me to do it, so he was like, screw it, come get it, and let's take care of it. So it's about 6.5 hour drive. If you've never been from Huntington, Indiana to it's just south of Nashville, Tennessee, it's a good drive. And we're going to get into what happened on the way down. But we're going to discuss a little bit of this. If you want to see this truck, like I said, you can go to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and you can see this 68. You'll see it. If you go to the Facebook page, we do a video every week, and you can literally follow this build throughout that.
You can go back and actually look at what we're talking about.
Yeah. So
over the last couple of months.
Yeah, Randy, why don't you go into a little bit of what all what all had to go into this, because this was kind of Randy was the main guy on this one. I tagged along, came in whenever needed. There's 3 cars in the shop, and I got other shit to be doing, and we don't need guidance or somebody watching over our shoulders all the time. So I mean, obviously that's why we fucking do it for ourselves. But when we get these cars in, it's like, we take on the responsibility of the whole build, and we ask for help when needed, basically. And this was pretty much Randy's baby, so he'll be able to go into more detail about how we went about it. So I guess start from the beginning, Randy. I guess this would be a good way to actually explain how we go through a process.
Well, the first thing we did, the first thing we did was basically just take pictures of everything. We laid everything out on a table and took pictures of everything that came with the truck, so we can kind of document everything.
Yeah, the truck showed up and the whole bed was full of parts.
Basically full of parts, yep.
It was like the way we described it, but the bed was literally, there was glass in the windshield, the rear glass, and was the sniper EFI, all that shit in it. And
the throttle body was mounted to the intake, but
but there was just the whole trunk, the whole trunk. The whole bed was full of boxes.
The wiring was in there. Yeah. The shifter, brake cables, all that kind of stuff, that was all in there. So we basically just started with that, and then after that I kind of just started with the front suspension. It didn't want to steer well when we picked it up. So what I did first was...
It's hellish toe in, wasn't it? Hellish toe in.
Well, that and the front end was misaligned, so it was actually the steering shaft was actually rubbing up against the driver's side inner fender.
Yeah, the inner wheel well there.
Inner wheel well. And wasn't completely like all the way hooked up. The steering column inside the dash wasn't all the way hooked up. So I started with that just to try to get it kind of like half string aligned, and half mounted the steering column, so at least we can see what we're working with.
Now, for those that aren't familiar with string alignment, can you describe it just a little bit?
Basically,
you don't have to go 110%.
Yeah, I mean, basically what I do is I basically just take as thin of a string as I can and tape it to the back, to the rear wheel, as center of the wheel as possible. You don't have to get crazy with it. You can just eyeball it.
Now, you're talking center of the wheel, like center of the wheel, or
if you're looking at
the tire, you sticking it to the tire?
I'm sticking it to the back of the tire, so I have something to pull against. So I stick it to the back, to the tread, on the rear tire, about halfway up the wheel.
Okay.
And then that way when I'm pulling on it to pull it tight, it's not just pulling through the tape. I'll tape it on there, and then I'll kind of loop the string back around and retape it so it doesn't like want to pull through there.
Right.
So I can pull on it pretty hard.
Right.
When I'm pulling when I get to the front of the car. So then I'll pull the string to the front of the front wheel, and then I'll take a ruler or whatever kind of measuring device you want to use, something that gets down pretty precise, in my opinion, because I like to be as precise as possible, because I don't know if it's actually going to end up in a shop getting properly aligned or not. You just never know. So I try to do it as
efficient.
Yeah, as accurate as possible. And I can do so. What I do is I pull it tight over in front of the front wheel. So when I'm looking at it, I'm actually looking at it downwards. My head's like up against the fender almost. I'm looking downwards, and I can kind of measure the front part of the tire. I usually measure off the wheel because it's most accurate. So I measure off the front of the wheel and then the back of the wheel, and then I'll adjust the front toe to where so typically I just kind of set it up to about, this kind of depends on how big the wheel is, but most bigger wheels, I usually try to get within 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch difference between front to rear. Usually 1/8 of an inch, because that gives you 1/4 on both sides.
Right.
That's usually pretty close. I've seen when I do bring vehicles to actual alignment shops, and then I'll to make sure the wheels are pointed frontwards. While I do this simultaneously, I'll find a good point on the tread of the front tires and measure from front to rear as well.
Yeah.
To make sure that the crazy going on there. But that's basically how I set that up. And you can actually also do camber too with a hard mounting surface. Like I'll use like a 1x1 steel tubing or 3/4 steel tubing or something like that. Just so I can have something up against the wheel. Obviously, I put tape on it or something like that, so I don't scratch it up. But I'll do that and put my digital angle finder on there, and I can measure camber that way. And I'm usually pretty close.
Yeah, but I mean, the accuracy that this truck had after we were done with it, I mean, it pretty much went straight as an arrow down the road, which is nice.
Pretty much, yeah. And then after that, once I get all that tuned in and everything's...
I just wanted to give... I wanted you to give a kind of a explanation for a lot of people that aren't... I mean, there's about fucking 99% of mechanics that have no fucking idea how to string line. And
I mean, I can do... I mean, I've done computer alignments and all that. I've done that. I've used I don't remember what software we used, but it was basically similar to Hunter.
Right, and then it's just laser alignment.
Yeah, laser. Like yeah, I've done that before too.
But this, just to give you an idea of how to do it. I mean, you can Google the son of a bitch. Go to YouTube. You'll find five videos right now that probably show you exactly how to do it.
Yeah. But that's the gist of that.
Yeah. Moving on.
But then after I get that done, then I'll adjust the steering wheel and all that and get that centered.
But yeah, so you pretty much, as soon as we got it in here, because it like Randy was saying, it just wanted to fucking basically be a pain in the ass.
Barely move steer the thing just to get it in and out.
Yeah, because it was just pushing on itself basically.
Yeah. So I fixed that, and then after that, I kind of started with some. I think I'm trying to remember back. It's been a couple months now, but I think what I did next was start with wiring and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the whole truck needed wired.
They
gauges needed corrected or not corrected. The gauges were Intellitronics, but they had 18 to 22 wires just coming out of the back.
Yeah, it's user friendly because they try to use. It looks like you can. It tells you how to wire it up. It's really easy. You just follow the instructions. You can cross reference it to GM stuff. Ford's whatever whatever your application is. Yeah. But it was pretty easy to wire that to the GM wiring.
It wasn't like other gauges where you got to wire to the gauge and you actually have to take nuts off and put shit on and then reattach the nuts so it tightens everything down. And
yeah, I would say it was just as easy as doing Dakota Digital. The only downside was not having. I like the Dakota Digital the Ethernet connection they use.
Yep.
Because if you don't have a lot of space, depending on what you're working on, it's really nice to use because you can mount the box wherever.
Yeah.
But
everything that we do electrically wiring, we put our own connectors on. So this, when he's talking about wiring, we made it 100% user friendly. Where we came in with Deutsch connectors. If you're not familiar with Deutsch connectors,
yeah, we made our own plug and play harness basically.
Yeah.
So if it ever needs to come out, he can just unplug it and unbolt it, pull it out without having to cut wires.
That's simple.
And then during that process, I mean, it's not like I wired the whole thing up and I was done wiring. No, that's not the case. I basically kind of jumped around with different things.
Yeah, it's not how that works.
When I mean, yeah, it's possible with certain things, but most of the time you really don't. I mean,
yeah, because this thing had vintage air, it had a radio, it had speakers, it had interior lights, it had lights up front, it had a Sniper EFI Hawley system.
Yeah, so I mean, you're working on one thing at a time and wiring that one thing at a time. That could take a long time just to get all of it finished and connected. But I ended up having to do connections for the headlights and the tail lights as well. I had to take the reverse lights out because when I finally did later down the road, when I finally did get a little bit of power to it, and I was testing things out, testing out the lights and everything, I noticed that the rear lights weren't working. So I took the rear light, all the lights were already installed on the truck. But
you had to take them all the fuck back out. I had to figure out.
Yeah, except for the headlights themselves, I had to take all the rear lights out and the side marker lights out because I made connections for all those, plug and play connections for all those. Because he was talking about maybe getting repainted down the road. So if he did want to do that, I wanted to make sure that we can take everything apart and plug it back in when we're done with it. So I went through all that, but the reverse lights weren't working. So I ended up having to take the reverse lights out, and these are LEDs. And then I noticed that because of the way they were routed or something, I'm not really sure what happened. The positive wire for the reverse lights was it was worn through.
Yeah.
Somehow. So, but then I realized that
fucking chipmunks.
Yeah, no, it wasn't chipmunks, but not in this case. But I noticed that the rear of the housing was smashed in, and I think that's what happened. Somehow they got smashed in at some point in their lives. So what I ended up having to do is instead of buying new lights, I ended up having to. I took those apart. I took the lights actually apart and took the harness out, cut the harness, and actually made my own pass through, rubber pass through, so that they didn't rub themselves against the housing anymore. And then I remade connections for everything, so I had to completely rewire those rear lights just to get those to not blow a fuse.
Yeah, and this was 90% done.
Yeah.
So we're just we're only on the wiring part,
Yeah, and then during the wiring process, I took a break on it, and actually, so it was a whole cluster fuck with the previous shop that he took this truck to, and I'm not going to get in it too much because I don't know what's going on down there, but basically he had to buy a new engine and transmission, I think.
Yeah, there's always a shady shop doing shady shit.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it because that's not really any of my business anyway. We're given the truck and here finish it. But basically what happened, he had to buy a new engine and transmission, and he threw it in real quick.
Pretty much just to get it out of the way.
Just to get it out of the way. And so he never put transmission fluid in the torque converter. So what I had to do when it finally got to us was actually take the transmission out and fill the torque converter with transmission fluid and put the transmission back in. But while we had it out, the whole bottom of the cab was not finished.
Yeah, it was basically in raw metal. They decided. I mean, like I said, the whole truck was painted, but for some reason, they decided that pretty much the entire cab, except for like a tiny little portion here and there, still was painted. So we had to go in and actually use a 2-in-1 rust reformer sealer system, but that was not before Randy was under there hand scrubbing, sanding, cleaning.
Yeah.
Prepping.
Yep. We prepped the whole thing while we had the transmission out and everything, because I didn't want to go putting the transmission back in and then doing the exhaust and doing all the wiring when we still had to do all that kind of stuff. So we did that while it was out.
And then while the transmission's out, Randy's painting a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
We had two shifters.
Yeah, he sent it with two shifters, two low car shifters with different bends in them, same height but different bend. I think it was a 16-inch height low car shifter, but had different bends in it to see which one would work best with the seat. TMI seat that he bought for that truck. And
then there was an e-brake system that he wanted on the floor as well. So there was prep work going on.
Yep.
As all this other shit's going, we're prepping for future of what the fuck wants to be in this and needs to be done.
Well, we have to have that kind of thought process. Otherwise, we're just working backwards. We try not to work backwards. We try to work forwards, even if we're sidestepping it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we filled that. We put that back in. Torqued the torque converter to flex plate and all that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to think what else we did. We did under there.
While we were under there doing all that shit, I mean, the brake lines and everything were shoddy. Fuel lines had to go in. Pump system,
you know what? While I had that out, I also took out the brake lines that were in there because I think they were the wrong. The rear line was the wrong size. I'm pretty sure it was too big of a line. So I ended up taking all that out. Took the fuel line out that was in there because I had to run a return line for the fuel injection. So I ended up doing my own fuel line system for that. But that was later down the road. I was just taking all that out while I had some room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as the job progressed, I mean, we knew there was a good laundry list of shit that needed to be done. So after Randy's under there painting and prepping and doing all that shit, and finally get the torque converter full, throw the transmission back in, then Randy was over there.
Well, I want to go back a little bit real quick. That's what I forgot earlier, a minute ago. Before I put the torque converter actually in the transmission. I had the transmission in and out maybe, I'd say, between 5 to 10 times, trying the different shifters.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
I had it in probably 2 handfuls of times trying to figure out which shifter was going to work best with the seat and everything, because you can do different positions along with different shifter rods for that. So
because it was basically the rods were so that there's a bench seat in there, so it's an automatic, but usually it's pretty cool that they make a shifter now that's not going to be on the actual fucking steering column. It's on the floor, so it looks like it's a stick, but it's not a stick. But at the same time, you got to make sure it can shift into all the gears while you're pulling it back through.
Yeah, with it being a 700R4, there was overdrive, drive, and then second and first.
Yeah.
So you had to make sure it shifted all the way down, and it also had to
not hit the dash all the way up in park.
Not hit the dash, but he also wanted to, if he wanted to bring a third person in there, he wanted to make sure that he could have him drive and not be running into people's legs. So
yeah, straddle it.
I think we picked the right one that was going to work best for it. And the way we set it up was that when it was in drive, it was nice and straight up and down. It wasn't in anybody's way. But then when you put it in park, it wasn't hitting the dash and everything. And I think it was going to work best for him. And then along with that, he ended up buying the low car indicator bezel for that. So I had to wire that up as well. But for now, I had it mounted to the transmission and up and down, making sure which one was going to work right, which position the shifter base was going to work, the best. So, but once I figured that out, put the torque converter back in the transmission for good, put it up there in there for good. So,
and we're going into detail about this. That way you get an understanding of like, oh yeah, just put a shifter in.
Yeah, it's not that.
It just doesn't work like that.
No.
Not
when you have two and you can have. I couldn't even tell you how many different position scenarios you can have with that.
Right.
But after that, after the bottom was done, I ended up having to take the carpet out. The carpet was in, but I had to take it out so I could figure out where I was going to cut the hole for the shifter.
Yeah, and had to take the seat out. Had to take the carpet out.
The seat out. Yep.
And then it had sound deadening in and shit like that. If you ever tried to cut through sound deadening, it just doesn't.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Just doesn't work out too well. So you got to prep and, you only want to make one hole and you want to cut it a little bit smaller than what it really needs to be. Or, if you can get it dead accurate on first try, fuck yeah. But let's be real here.
Yeah. Just start off small and work your way out once you figure out your actual placement of your shifter bezel. Otherwise, right. a nice looking hole in your carpet.
No, it already had a hole, didn't it? Didn't it already have a hole cut in?
It did have a hole.
But it was not correct hole.
Well, I was able to use that. I was able to use the hole that was there. I just opened it up a little bit for my positioning, and then I cut another hole for the parking brake.
Yeah, which he put instead of having these 67s, 68s, 69, 70, 71, 72 Chevys. Fuck. All the trucks pretty much have that floor, the
push pedal.
The push pedal to the left on the kick panel. And I personally really like the one that he put in that you can just reach down and pull up on it instead of doing the foot.
Yeah, and I put that right next to the shifter bezel, so it was. I feel like it was a nice look.
Yeah, both low car, both look
same finishing,
same finish, the whole 9 yards. It was classy. Yeah, I was excited about it. And if you want to see it, just go to, like I said, fucking find it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And then, so moving on after that, started working on I was still doing some wiring here and there. I just kind of was jumping back and forth. But I started looking at the doors because the passenger side door was not shutting right. It would not shut at all, really. And the driver's side was shutting, but not perfect. So I started looking into that. And
the windows were a little jacked up.
The windows were working, but they were the original regulators, and it was making a screeching noise going up. Both of them, I think, made a screeching noise going up. I was like, what's going on here? So looked into all that. We took the door panels off. And
had to make adjustments, and turns out we ended up, the best decision was just buy new shit because it was going to take more time just to fucking dick
They had a
it.
lot of play in it. The handle where the handles were, they had a lot of play in it.
what
gear.
this guy's doing with this truck, it just should be done.
Yeah, and then
what's best for the build? It's all about the build here, and it was what was.
Yeah,
best
I mean
for the build.
he had everything else was new on that truck.
Yeah.
They
had new bear claws, new handles, new latch system, the whole fucking nine.
No, that was all original. We ended up buying that.
Right, but we were buying.
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay, I see. But no, yeah, we bought all that new because everything else was new. Engine's new, transmission's new. As far as I know, the glass may be original.
Yeah,
I couldn't. It was kind of hard to tell. I guess
I feel like the front windshield was new, or not new, but was original, just because.
They could be new because he said it was like a shell of a truck when he bought it.
Maybe it was then. Maybe that's why they all matched.
I don't want to say it wasn't, but anyway, mostly everything else was new on that truck.
Yeah.
So I had a talk with him, and we were like, the way these things are working, they're
shoddy.
They're loose or sloppy. They just need replaced. So
he's making a driver out of this thing. So last thing you want to do is try to. It's not like it's power windows or anything, so you got to crank on them. So why wouldn't I don't want to fucking cranking on them.
Well, the screeching I found out was the window seals, the window felt. I think they were mounted on the outside instead of the inside.
Oh yeah.
So it was bunching up the rubber.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying new felt and new outside rubber for that
and putting it on correctly.
Yeah, so that fixed all that issues, and then I lubed everything up when I got the new regulator, and it worked flawlessly. It was one of the best working windows I've ever put in.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it was. Two fingers, a thumb and a
and that's what I wanted.
Thumb and a pointer. It's just real easy.
I wanted it to be usable as hell, no matter who hopped in that truck.
Right.
I mean, the seals are still so big. It was even with adjusting the hood. Even adjusting the doors as best as I could, they still shut kind of hard. But
yeah, because talking about adjustments, we literally had to adjust the bed, we had to adjust the doors, we had to adjust the fenders, we had to adjust the hood, we had to adjust the fucking cowl. Even
we had to adjust the radiator support and all that because that was
literally everything was like when it was just sitting there, you could see that the bed was just fucking crooked.
Yeah.
You could just looking at the side of it, you could see the one back corner was higher
so we loosened up everything and readjusted that as best as we could, and straightened everything out and leveled off everything we could.
And then we had to put the fucking rear window in, we put the front windshield in, and the funny thing is about the front windshield is it sucks.
Yeah, especially it only sucked because of that trim.
Yeah, anytime you have trim with fucking front windshield. Like the back wasn't bad. Back went in.
Back was easy because it was nice and flat.
The back fucking went in in literally probably a minute.
Give me a
minute and a half.
False sense of hope there.
Yeah, we should have ended with that.
I was like, fuck you.
Yeah. So the front was already tried to be put in once or twice before, and some of the rubber was ripped. But we knew we could get away with. If we could get it in, we were going to be able to get away with it because that rubber was on the inside, and we knew. The seal was going to be good on the outside, but it just didn't allow us to get it in line and get everything in. So that we've tried putting it in and out fucking 3-4 times.
Yeah. And every time you take it back out, you have to redo the trim.
Yeah.
It was a pain.
Yeah. Now, not all this was billed to the customer.
No, we did a lot of that for free. The whole windshield process was, the first time we ended up, I feel like it was charged, but then it was just like, we can't charge them multiple times for this. It's ridiculous.
Granted, it's part of it. If we were working somewhere else for somebody, they would have just fucking charged them anyways.
Yeah.
But, there's certain...
it was like, whose fault is it? It's one of those...
It's the fucking windshield's fault.
Yeah,
but I just don't feel
fault.
right. It is! It is! I just don't feel right as a business owner It's just the way we fucking do things around here.
Yeah.
Randy and I are on the same fucking playing field when it comes to that shit, so it's not like we're stealing from... I'm not going to steal from you.
Yeah, it's not he wanted to use so his whole idea behind his truck, he told me this when we dropped it off, was that he wanted that truck to have every trim option that you could buy in 1968. So that's why he wanted all the trim and everything. So that's what he wanted. So that's what needed to be done. It's just...
Yeah, and then so the trim. So Randy went in and realigned everything. So since we're talking about the body panels and shit, we're going to go into that right now since we're on it. We literally had to adjust all the fucking panels. So Randy adjusted the doors, the panels, and
I couldn't adjust I couldn't adjust the doors. So what happened was when I was looking at the doors and I was like, this passenger side's not shutting right. This driver's side's shutting okay, but it's not perfect yet. But what I ended up noticing was that there were a lot of strip bolts on the door hinge. So we talked about it and then made a decision to actually take the doors off the truck.
Oh fuck! I forgot all about that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there was only like 2 bolts holding each.
So on the driver's side, the bolts were holding it flat against the door, but on the passenger side, the lower hinge bolts were not getting tight enough that it was actually causing a gap in between the hinge plate and the door itself.
Yeah, when you grabbed a hold of the door, you could literally see the fucking door moving and shit.
Yeah.
So it was never going to stay straight. So then forgot about that, but took them, literally had both doors off.
Both doors off, yep.
And we re-tapped and threaded.
Yeah, we ended up going from, trying to remember what it was. It was like a 7/16 thread size to a 1/2 inch thread size, or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Whatever it was,
but
90% finished.
Yeah,
that's what we're getting at here.
But yeah, we fixed that.
Yeah. So then we finally got the door square, and then after we got the panels where they were supposed to be, Randy actually had to go back in and adjust all the fucking chrome on the truck to straighten everything back out.
Yeah. So what happened was, which I found out unexpectedly, that one of the rear of the cab trim, the little tiny like 4-inch, 5-inch piece of trim right behind the door was like falling off, and I was like, "What's going on here?" So I just like pulled it off. I'm like, "Oh, these trim." I don't know what they're called. The trim holder, the trim hardware, was not It was not in there properly, and turns out the shop before us, they ended up drilling the holes in the wrong place, and they didn't have the hardware in there properly. So I ended up having to fix a lot of that.
Yeah, so aligning the chrome didn't turn into like just loosening it up and adjusting it a little bit. It was
take it off and
fiasco.
Take it off and re-drill the holes in the right place. So unfortunately, the truck has multiple holes under the trim, but I dabbed everything so it's covered in paint. It's the way it was. I had to fix what I could without welding in new stuff, and it was just a.
He wants a new paint job on this, so all this is gonna be addressed.
Later
on down the road.
He had visions of multiple different. What's the word I'm looking for?
Finished product.
Yeah, he had multiple different visions for this truck. That's what I was trying to say. And he was getting an autocross. So he kind of wants to do like an autocross style truck.
He's kind of all over. He knows what it wants to look like, but he just doesn't know what direction he's headed with it, as far as like what we're gonna do with suspension and shit. But
like he said,
paint work is definitely number one.
Yeah, like he said, it was this was a vision he had a long time ago, and it took almost 10 years to finish. So when you're doing something like this, no matter who you are, I mean, by the time if that takes you that long to get something done, you might want it to look a little bit differently by the time you're done with it. 10 years later, you could have a different vision for your classic car. But I think that's what he kind of ran into, and if we do get to redo the truck the right way, we're gonna do all that kind of stuff. He wants to smooth the firewall.
Yeah, and I mean, everything needs custom touches here, and everything needs a fucking custom touch. But so a little bit about the build itself. He had gotten it done, and it kind of got held hostage, and the guy went MIA, and they had to go rescue the truck. And it turns out, when something like that happens, people start throwing shit. I've seen it personally. People start throwing shit together. That way it looks like it's a hell of a lot fucking farther down the line than what it is.
That's what happened.
And then it just happens, and then the owner gets discouraged, and they either, one of two options happen. They either sell the fucking thing because they're so disgusted with it, or they sit on it for years.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks because it's hard for them to trust other shops to finish it for them.
Yeah, so as a business owner and as people working on this, it's kind of a gray area. You got to be as forward as possible with people about like, I understand you got fucked before. I'm not going to do that, but don't come at me like I am going to fucking do that. So relaying that message and having a client builder relationship is so important in something like this.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like we've built. I feel like I feel like if we go down to Tennessee and we get fucked up, like we did getting, stuck on the side of the road, we could probably call him, he'd come help us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so the laundry list of shit on this truck, we're not going to go much farther into it because we really want to talk to you about the chaos that occurred, but we're going to wrap it up on this truck, just going into all these details. This was just the beginning. We also had to do exhaust. We had to run a full 3-inch exhaust the whole way down the back.
And he wanted to have cutouts. So
and then we had to do cutouts for it. So once we put the cutouts in and everything, then we had to wire that shit in. Mm-hmm. And we had to make sure they worked. And then in order to have the cutouts in, we actually had to fill where there was original knobs in the truck that we put new switches in and everyking.
Mm-hmm. Which I feel like we did that as best as we could. We used the original provisions on
where the choke pull
where the
was.
choke would be, and then I drilled out a hole for the halo lights for the headlights. So and then I ended up buying the bezel nuts that match everything else. So that I think it looked pretty nice actually when it was all said and done.
Yep, and then we had to run new fuel lines, new brake lines, and every brake line we make, we don't just buy out of a fucking catalog and it shows up and it's fucking hideous. It's stock junk. We're shaping and forming and making it beautiful, and we're running them side by side, and we're running them a half an inch apart from each other, and we got the same bend at the same spot.
Yeah,
and
I mean within like as best as we can match it. You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
We're not computers, but we get it as best as we can.
I mean, it's fucking visually, like, you could pick it apart, I guess, if you really want to be that fucking dickish about it. But, I mean, you're talking about, you can't even tell.
Yeah.
And then we hardlined vacuum lines.
Yeah, we've hardlined vacuum lines. And
we ran AC lines, and we hit AC lines for the vintage air that was in it. So you also had, and then the sniper had to be wired up, so there's even more wiring with the sniper and everything. And then we had to self-tune the wire, or self-tune the sniper system. And then there was test driving, and then we had to tighten down every single nut on the bed eventually. And I mean, there was so much stuff. I mean, we're just kind of summing it up real quick right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to it. Then once we got it running, if you follow our videos, we ended up running into a knocking noise that we had.
We fired the fucking thing up.
We were like,
all hell broke loose for a minute.
We're like, it's Dad.
Shut it the fuck down. We started this thing, and it was like, I thought it was knocking. I thought something bad was happening.
It sounded exactly like a knock.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's inside.
This is not what I want to be dealing with right now.
Crawled under the truck quick, listened to it, and it turns out it was the distributor got smacked on the way in, and one of the spring-loaded hold down, what would you call it?
It's like a little, just like a hold pin.
Hold down pin got broke. So the distributor was actually basically clapping. And it went up with the RPM, and it went down with the RPM, just like a fucking knock.
And you couldn't see it from the front.
Yeah, it was scary. Yeah. But we fixed that.
And we checked everything else before we started it, but like we didn't take the distributor out. It was already in. It was supposedly run like that, and we checked everything else as much as we could as far as the timing, blah blah blah. But we never had that off, so we didn't see it.
It was in the back. So I mean, even when you grabbed a hold of it and like held down on it, you couldn't. I think it was when everything started rattling and rocking and fucking RPMs went up and shit. It was just the way it slapped and smacked around.
Yeah.
So. And then, we had to set when the fans kick on, the electric fans and everything kick on, all that shit. So, I mean, and then we had to, during the test drive, we got to stop and we got to tighten the fucking lug nuts some more. And we got to make sure nothing's leaking. And then the alignment. And the alignment turned out the lower A arms were jacked up. They didn't put when they put it on, they just fucking threw it on.
Oh, well, luckily I caught that before we test drove it. I did the lower, it was a CCP kit for that truck, the 68 C10. Well, it was the 67 to 72 kit, but it was the
half decent looking kit.
It's a nice kit. Yeah, it is. Upper and lower control arms, shocks, struts.
It even had disc brakes, CCP brake system.
Disc brakes, lowering spindles, and all that. And I guess whoever put it on, they didn't torque down the U-bolts that hold the lower control arm bars. I don't know what they're.
The lower A arms.
Yeah, but they're. I'm trying to think. It's late at night. The
bars. I've been drinking Modelo.
That too. The lower control arms were not. They have alignment pins on there.
They were not closed.
Or dowel pins that align the control arms front to rear for caster, but they were not tightened at all. So I had to realign all those and then torque the U-bolts. But that was way before we ended up test driving it. Luckily, I caught that because I think the lower control arms would have been flying off down the road.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Well, something bad would have happened. But then we also, the fuel tank that came with the truck was for a 1985 Chevy Blazer. And if you recall at the beginning of this, we were working on a 1968 Chevy C10.
It wasn't 85?
Yeah.
Well, either way, it was a Blazer tank that's common. It's a common swap for those trucks because some guys like to do a taillight filler.
But it's as far like in order to make this thing work, we would have had to fucking basically rip the bed off, cut an angle into the top part of the frame,
which would have been fine if it was done from get go. But they were trying to do that, and it was abandoned halfway through, and
then they put a hole in the floor in the bed to run it a different way or whatever.
But the fill was going to go down and then back up and then back down. It was not going to work.
Nothing good was happening.
So we had to end up buying it was a tank sink tank for that truck. Excuse me, that we installed into that truck, and then we ended up doing just a vertical straight fill right in the bed,
which I would rather have it that way than. I'm not opposed to a fucking fuel filler in the bed.
Yeah, no, it works fine.
Yeah, it looks fine to me. It looks good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's one thing to have it hiding and stuff like that, but it's just
what we had to do to not take the bed off the truck and
it was the most efficient way.
It was the most efficient way just to get that thing working. And the other thing was that the tank that was in there, the sending unit was not, didn't have a provision for return style fuel system. So there was that too. So I ended up, the tank we bought the sending unit for a return fuel system for the Holly Sniper system. So it was a win-win, I think, for that.
It's a win-win-win, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a win-win-win.
Now, granted, so even after we were all said and done with that, we had to address the paint work. Turns out there is a rain gutter or a rain channel. I don't know what the hell, what you want to call it. That chrome goes on. It runs along the cab of the truck on top. If you're not familiar with what the fuck I'm talking about as far as a rain gutter goes, it's just above the windshield that runs around and runs down the back of the window, down the back of the door. Am I saying it properly, Randy?
I think it's fine.
Yeah. So there's chrome that goes on it, and that was attempted to have chrome, that just snaps on, but the people that did the mud work and everything, like they just mudded the shit out of it. So there's no way of it clamping on.
This trim is supposed to
just clip on,
go on top, and then just clip on, or just kind of scoop on there. But
it just clips the fuck on. It's easy.
It was not happening with that.
So that was attempted, and the paint was pretty beat the fuck up. And we decided the best thing to do was you know what, I'm making a fucking call.
And this was like the week of, and the week of trying to deliver it down to the customer in Tennessee, and I put the trim on, and it looked like shit.
Yeah, it looked like shit.
And we're like, well, what do we do here?
Yeah, in order just to get this fucking trim on, we had to do some finagle fucking.
Yeah, this trim did not go on well,
yeah.
and because of that, it didn't turn out well when it was all set. It was on, but I don't know.
The reason we went forward with trying to get it on was because it was so jacked up to begin with.
Somebody attempted to put it on at the last shop, or if he tried to put it on, I'm not sure, but the paint was all chipped up from that.
Yeah.
And so
we couldn't deliver it to him with the paint still chipped up or the trim looking like shit on it.
Yeah. So we made the tough decision to take it off and repaint the drip rails.
Yeah, and in order just to be able to fly paint in the shop, it decided in Indiana that it was the coldest fucking week of the damn season.
Yeah.
Of the year.
Which figures?
Yeah, which figures. We've been heating. I have a mini split system that we were going to throw in, but we were going to do it after the truck was gone, but it turns out we were going to throw paint. So in order to throw paint and shit, we ended up having to heat there's cure time and everything, and I wasn't going to sit out there with the fucking salamander heater that I had fucking heating everything up. So we had to stop, and we had to,
You don't want to do shifts?
Right. No, I didn't want to fucking
like 4-hour shifts.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your turn to go watch it. I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah.
Up against the side of the tree.
Yeah, didn't want to do nothing like that. So we ended up pausing everything, and we decided to put the mini split shit in. And in order just to get the mini split shit in, I had to finish the fucking drywall on the walls. So it was fucking chaos. And then we finally get everything squared away, and we do some paint correction on it. And we ended up doing a 5-step paint correction to it, which actually made the paint, I mean, it's not where I would want it to be personally, as far as like, if we were to do the paint job ourselves, I would never.
Well, the paint job was fine. He, as far as like, he painted it. Well,
he painted the hood.
He painted the hood
himself.
And the interior and the dash and everything.
Yeah.
He painted the dash.
Right.
I guess I don't know what else
I think that was all he painted.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know he didn't paint the whole truck.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but we ended up, like we said, it was kind of halfway in the middle of being buffed, but it wasn't even like, I don't know what the fuck they were doing. It didn't seem to, I don't know. Anyways.
Well, we did a 5-step process to buff it and then foam pad it and then hand polish it and bring
hand polish it some more.
Hand polishing some more. I feel like we brought
pretty much as much luster. We made that paint look the best it could possibly look.
Yeah. Without
scuffing it up and putting more clear on it and making it to where we wanted to be at, I think. I think that's pretty much, we were scared to even put our hands on it with sandpaper because the clear just didn't look.
We didn't know how much clear was on it, so we didn't.
There were certain areas of question, but with what we were able to do was amazing, in my opinion. And, that's wrapping it up in a nutshell. And like I said, just to get the fucking paint to stick to the damn thing and cure properly and look good, we had to do all that stuff with the mini split system. And it turns out the mini split system turned into a fucking shit show. Because I ordered something, it said it was supposed to be in it, and then it turns out, they were like, oh, well, that doesn't come with it. And it's like, well, your fucking online says there's pictures that show me exactly what it is. Well, they're like, well, that's just a stock photo. And it's like, what do you put in a stock photo of what the fuck's supposed to be in it if it's not stock in a box? So... turn around and the stock shit that was supposed to be there, turns out the coupler is like fucking 3.5 inches each, and I had to buy 4 of them, and they were $85 a piece. So
yeah, they're gonna sell extensions, but not sell a way to connect it.
Yeah, so the beginning of the shit show. This is the beginning of.
No, my mistake. They do sell a way to connect it. It's just you have to secretly know to buy it separately. And then also have another, however much, I'll let you tell it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I buy the fucking thing, and he's like, I'm on the phone with this guy because it's like, I got everything ran, and we're like, okay, we're going to paint. We're going to paint tomorrow because we're ready to go. And no, you're not. You got to wait 3 fucking days for this shit to show up. It's like, I will drive wherever I have to get this. And he's like, well, you got to drive the bottom of Kentucky. Well, it's halfway to where the fuck I'm dropping the damn truck off, So he tells me $350 fucking dollars. And I was like, for couplers. I was like, I already have the lines. I was like, this is the whole package deal. I'm buying the whole package deal again. No, it's just for the coupler. What are you talking about? Just for the fucking coupler? What do you mean? Yeah, so anyway.
Was that for just 1 or 2? I can't remember.
It was for 4.
Oh yeah, that's right. 4.
One size was $70-some bucks, and the other ones were $80-some bucks, plus tax and all that shit, or $90-some bucks. I don't know. It was $350. So I fucking had to schmooze them over and be like, are you sure I don't get the redheaded discount or this is complete bullshit discount? And he was like, well, I can give you 5% off. Well, fuck yeah. Anything at this point in time sounds great. So had to wait, and they finally show up on a Thursday or whatever, get everything squared away and turn the fucking thing on, and it works. Thank God it works. And but just to get to that, there was even more shit show stuff that happened because I'm not an AC guy, and it's the DIY, liars. You're damn liars. Like,
I hope you don't have a big building because.
Well, it'd be fine if they would have just said that the couplers, you had to buy couplers. Like
there was literally in the picture with it. With the.
Why would you sell an extension but not sell the couplers? What the fuck kind of society are we living in here? Like, it should say in big bold letters, "Hey, dumbass, you need the
That's
couplers."
like selling a belt without the belt buckle.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's like having a belt buckle, but without that little fucking notch.
Right.
Without that little the extra piece that goes through the hole.
What a
shit show.
What a money making scheme. That's what that is.
That is a money making scheme. So then they tried telling then the electrical shit, they were trying to tell me that we couldn't tie them together because it would make some bullshit. It would interference. And it's like, this is just fucking automotive wire at this point in time. What are you talking about? So anyways, we get the couplers, we paint the shit, we get everything squared away, and we're not putting the trim on it. We don't put the trim on it because it was like, you know what? If we're going to repaint all this stuff, we're going to dig out all that shit that the other shop did. We're going to dig it all out. And we're going to make it right. Yeah. Because most of the time, 100% of the time it's seam seal, and this is just like mudded the fuck in.
Yeah, not.
And that's why it was so damn difficult and why it was wrong.
Had nowhere to clip onto.
Because there was just mud pancaked in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of smooth and all that shit, but...
So we had to blend everything and tape it off and paint it and then clear it. And that was, how many days before we left?
I don't know. Couple.
That was a couple of days, at least a couple of days.
Yeah, because we wanted to paint everything in case we got any sort of overspray on the truck. That way we could spit shine the son of a bitch off.
Yeah.
Polish it out. So we ended up, we were polishing, we polished the whole damn thing out. And we're finally ready to get this thing out of here. Like, we've test drove it. We always do 500-mile test runs on these things. And the client wanted it back prior to, so we only got 140 miles on it. But we felt pretty good about it, but we just can't, we can't guarantee that there isn't going to be a bunch of leaks. Things might have to be adjusted accordingly.
There just wasn't enough time for us.
Yeah.
But
that wasn't on us. That was part of the deal with the client. He wanted it. He was willing to take it before the 500 miles.
Willing to take it for
he likes to work on shit, so I mean, I understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. But on the way down.
Yeah, so we decide we're leaving Indiana. We don't want to be out of here any later than 9.
We've done it before. We're going to do this one way and then one way back.
Yeah, just one day down, say hello, drop it off. When we picked it up, we went down, picked it up, and came back. So turns out we load her up and we're fucking rolling. Everything's going great. Now, I borrowed a trailer from the dude who has the 65 Riviera here at the shop. He's the fucking man. I love the dude. He's awesome. Best type of client you could ever ask for. He's good stuff. He understands the process. He's a good dude. We can break bread and drink beer together. He's just that we can joke around. He can bust my balls, shit like that. It's just a good stuff. So anyways, he let me borrow this trailer. And he's like, now the license plate's a little funny. He's like, by the time you get down there, it'll be bent over and then just bend it back up whenever you get back. Okay, well, we're cruising. We're down at the lower half of Indiana, right? And it turns out
we're feeling good.
We're feeling good.
Yeah,
good. We did all this shit to get everything to where
Truck looks great.
Truck looks great. We were up till fucking midnight the night before.
Spit shining
this thing every square inch as best as we could. Little dabbers here and there that just from it being stored and moved for years and stuff.
Now that's the kind of shit though that actually that's one of the true things you see on TV is these guys staying up till wee early hours in the morning working on these things, getting them done for customers or for shows. It really does happen.
Yeah, every fucking time.
Every time. It doesn't fail.
It doesn't matter because we're shooting for perfection, and that's just the way it fucking is. Now we're not telling a client, yeah, it's ready, and we're dropping the engine and transmission in it tonight and giving it to them tomorrow. And that's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
If somebody's doing that, that's some shady, that's some stupid stuff.
We're talking about making it nice for the customer.
Yeah. So we're headed to fucking Tennessee, man. And we were just started off in the truck. We're headed down in our escapade. So we're feeling good. We had to go through all this stuff and end up throwing paint on this fucking thing to make it just perfect. Not perfect, but just the best quality we can give them for what's going on with the project, whatever. Anyways, all this shit we had to do. So we're finally on the fucking way. Yeah, man. And I'm looking in for some reason, I was looking in the rearview mirror, and the license plate is definitely bent fucking over like he said it was. I don't know what the hell Indiana's doing, but they send you, when you buy a fucking license plate from Indiana, like Pennsylvania, that son of a bitch was solid rock. Oh, yeah. They're fucking solid.
Yeah.
Tennessee even had some solid shit. Indiana, I don't know what the hell they're slinging.
It's like a paper plate.
It's fucking joke. Might as well send me cardboard.
Yeah.
Anyways, this thing bent over and it's flopping in the wind. I was like, oh, fuck, Randy. I think we're going to have to pull over because this ain't looking good. I can just see this son of a bitch flopping in the rearview mirror. And I shit you not. 5 seconds after, I was like, fuck! There it went. Gone. So, license plate's gone. I'm borrowing this, I got to find this thing. So I pull Yui. We take an exit.
We go to the next exit.
We go to the next exit. Because we're on 3-lane blacktop one way. So it's 6-lane blacktop, 90 mile an hour.
Yeah.
So we're busting a Yui, come back up, come back around. We get in the middle lane, we're running fucking 55 and a, 90.
Yeah, we got people zooming past.
Yeah, zooming past as we're looking for a fucking license plate. And I shit you not, all of a sudden I see a license plate. And it's on the inside. So instead of, if you were to pull off the interstate, you'd be pulling to the right. Well, I pulled to the inside fucking lane. Pulled her off.
I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but we didn't feel like crossing the highway.
Yeah. So I pulled off, and I jump out of the fucking truck, and I'm running down the fucking highway. And it was and of course, when I saw it, there's this dumbass to the left of me in the hammer lane decides, I start slowing down, so he starts slowing down. I put my turn signal on to go over there, and he's like, just fucking go by me. So I'm almost locking him the fuck up just so I don't go too far down the road. Well, I still made it a half a fucking mile, feels like.
Yeah.
I haven't ran in a while, but I know what at least a good quarter mile feels like, and I'm pretty sure I ran it. Went the whole way back there, and it's a license plate, all right.
Yeah.
It's Carvana license plate, so it ain't even a fucking license plate we need.
So when we pulled over, for some stupid reason, I was like, I'm going to get out of the truck and go help. I'm like, and then I saw him running up. I'm like, what am I getting out of the truck for?
I know why you got out of the truck.
I just stretched my legs.
Yeah. So I get back there. He's like, you find it? No, it's fucking Carvana. And he's like, well, you're not going to be happy about what I'm going to tell you. We're fucking locked out.
No, I didn't even say that. This is what happened. So when he left, I hopped out of the truck, not thinking about it. And I'm like, what am I getting out of the truck for? So I go to turn around. Literally, I was out for a second. Go to literally turn around, and the door is locked. I'm like, I'm going to go check the driver's side. So I go over to the driver's side. It's locked too. I'm like, well, now. Yeah. This is a pickle.
Yeah. And I had just filled up. We had just stopped at the gas station.
And he gets back, and I'm like, I'm trying to hold it together because it's almost comical, but it's not comical, but it is comical. And I'm like, I got more bad news for you.
Yeah.
I got more bad news for you. And he goes to open the door, and it's locked. Oh, shit.
It's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. The engine's running, 90 mile an hour. We could barely talk to each other because yahoos are just ripping by. So this begins even more fucking chaos. Just when I thought we were down the home stretch getting this damn thing out of here, I call the insurance company. Well, first of all, I fucking reach in my pocket. My cell phone's in the fucking truck, just sitting there.
Luckily, I had mine.
Yeah, luckily he had his.
Otherwise, we'd be flagging people down.
Yeah, so I got his phone, and what do you do? Where's the only quiet spot we could possibly be at? Well, we'll just jump in the C10 that's on the back of the trailer, on the back of the truck that's running and just burning fucking gas on the side of the fucking road, burning diesel.
Yeah, so we hop in the back of this C10, this customer's C10.
Yeah, so we're sitting in the C10. We decided to start making phone calls, and I got to remember who the fuck my insurance company is.
Yeah.
Because they're all red and white nowadays. Is it Allstate? Is it
State Farm?
State Farm? I got to remember, I know it ain't that fucking Gecko or that damn Flo. I refuse. I don't care if they give me it for fucking free. I ain't paying no Gecko and that damn Flo. It ain't happening. Anyways, turns out I figured it out, who the fucking insurance company was. So I called the insurance company. But not before we called a fucking locksmith that was right 4 miles up the road.
Right off the highway.
Right off the highway. Like, just get here and unlock this shit. We went through 20 minutes of talking to this broad, and she was unable to figure out where we were located, even though I was like, this is exactly where we are. I don't know how much more detail I can give you that we're on Highway 65 and Russell Road, where it crosses over, is right where the fuck we're at. And she's like, can you give me a landmark? Well, fuck me. How better of a landmark?
She asked, what's the address?
What's the fucking address? Side of the road. Like, what do you mean, what's the address? Get out of town, lady.
Yeah.
So anyways, I literally just said, you know what, lady, I'm fucking done with you, and I hung up on her. So then I fucking called the insurance company, and the insurance lady couldn't figure out who I was. She couldn't find my policy number. And I was like, dude, you know what the funny thing is? My local insurance agent gave me this number to call you, so how the fuck are you not able to find my policy number? Well, it turns out they're spelling my last name F-L-E-C-K. Now, I've had a lot of flack in my day, but I've never had Fleck. When I spell my last name, I usually say it's like, cut me some slack, or like a pair of nice pants, pair of slacks, or S as in Sam, L-A-C-K, or S as in Steven. I guess I need to start spelling it. S as in you stupid son of a bitch, cut me some slack. S-L-A-C-K. First of all, she couldn't even spell my first name. I don't even know. She spelled it like E-L-I-T or something fucked up. You need to, Elliot. There's definitely another vowel of some sort in there.
Listen here, Elliot.
Yeah, right. It's like when I was talking to the Amish. That's how they fucking call it. That's what they fucking call me. Elliot. But anyways.
Listen here, you Elliot.
Yeah, so it turns out she's like, well, we'll be able to get, she's asking me all these questions, what color is your truck, where are you located? I was actually able to say where I was by where are you located at? Coordinates on the iPhone or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, Randy was done listening to this conversation, I think. He knew I was fucking fired up. So he got out of the truck and just walked off into the abyss.
I'm going to go find I'm gonna go find his license plate. So
he walks down the fucking highway. I don't even see him anymore.
Yeah, it was a good mile and a mile back, I think. Yeah. Something like that.
And all the while he's walking and then walking back, I'm still on the same fucking conversation about not being able to figure out what my insurance policy is. So they're like, they go through all this process. They're like, we'll find your insurance policy later after this is all done. Then you can send the bill. That's great. Whatever, dude. Just get me fucking help. So it turns out she's like, she gets all my information. I even had to get out of the truck, run up to the front, scream into the phone because there's people driving by 90 mile an hour and yell my VIN number to her and then get back in the truck and describe what this was, where we were located, had to go through the whole app thing and find my fucking iPhone or whatever she found coordinate wise. And she's like, that's going to be $95. Okay, that's great. I will give you the $95 as soon as you unlock my truck. Oh, well, we can't do that, sir. What do you mean? You can't do that, ma'am. What are you talking about? What are we doing here? She's like, well, it needs to be paid for before we can send anybody out. And I said, at the beginning of this conversation, where the fuck were you when I said all my information is locked in the truck? I'm on somebody else's phone. And mind you, I told her that, it might be under my wife's name. And I gave her my wife's name and all that stuff and still couldn't find a policy number. So she's like, well, we can't send anybody out. She's like, I can call 911 and we can dispatch a police officer. I was like, I don't fucking care because we're a good, hour into watching my truck just burn fuel on the side of the highway. So she calls 911. So now I'm listening to my insurance agent. Well, this insurance representative talk to 911, and 911's like, "What's going on?" And she's describing to her what's happening and where my coordinates are. And she's like, "Well, hold on, I'll get you over to Indiana Highway Patrol 911." Okay, so then we were on hold and got sent over there, right? It's a good thing I didn't cut my fucking finger off at some point in time around now, because
you wouldn't have it no more.
Yeah. So anyways, 911's coming, right? Okay, that's great. And the insurance lady's like, "Do you feel safe enough that I can hang up with you?" "Oh, yeah, I feel great." Sitting on the side of the highway in a 1968 C10 on the back of a trailer with 6 lanes of traffic, sitting in the middle, all 6 of them, with 90 fucking mile an hour traffic going by, and Randy's walking up and down the fucking highway looking for a license plate. Yeah.
I had 2 like old ladies pull over and ask me if I needed a ride, and one of them didn't have any teeth, and it didn't look like a good situation. So I said, "No, I'm good." So they left.
Randy didn't want to be gummed to death.
No. But no, I walked a little further after they found me, and then I was like, I don't want to get hit by somebody falling asleep.
Anything.
Yeah. So I went to I did go to the other side of the road, to the middle, and then walked the middle back in case I could find on the other side, because I didn't find it on that side. But no luck.
Yeah. So turns out, so now Randy's back, and I'm finishing up with the insurance, and I said, "Yep, 911's coming." Okay, so it's like, "Hey, 911's coming. We're going to be saved," because where I'm from, every single cop has a, what do they call it? A Jimmy stick. You can literally run down the window track and Jimmy the lock.
Right.
I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but that's what they called it when I was growing up. Well, anyways, we're sitting there, like a good half an hour goes by, and hey, the cop's here. Finally, the cop gets out, walks up to us. He's got a fucking mask on because, protect and serve. I don't want to get corona or whatever the fuck. Why we're wearing masks nowadays? It's beyond me. But you got 6 lanes of traffic screaming by, and you're sitting here trying to talk through a mask to me. How the fuck do I can't hear you. So I'm like, my ear is up against his mask. What seems to be the problem? What do you mean? You were dispatched. Like, didn't the 911 person relay the message to you?
Apparently not.
Apparently not. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Well, anyways, I was like, obviously we're locked out of the truck, or I wouldn't be sitting in the back of a fucking on the tray. Anyways, the cop's like, "Well, I can't help you. I don't have any way of unlocking it." What the fuck are you doing here? Why are you here? Why didn't you get the other guy to come out here? Or why didn't you be like, "Oh, maybe I should run back to the shop and get the Jimmy stick," or whatever the fuck they call them? So, anyways, before the insurance lady told me, if you have any issues with the police and they can't get this problem resolved, call us back. Oh boy, I can't wait to call them back. So I called them back because the officers went back to his paperwork, because that's what he told me he had to do. So it was a plus that he had to sit on the side of the highway with his fucking red and blues on behind us, because he was able to do paperwork, which is great. I'm glad I was able to help him out, because he definitely helped us out, type of deal, right? At least this point in the story, he hasn't. Turns out I ended up calling the fucking insurance company. I got some dude on there, and I've told him my name, told him what the fuck was going on, and he was all apologetic and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, here's your policy right here." No shit. He's like, "Yeah, it's under your wife's name." "Oh, yeah? That wouldn't happen to be Melanie like I said it was to the first son of a bitch, right?" Anyways, I still had to go through the whole fucking process. And he asked me if I could describe the vehicle. Well, if you have my fucking insurance policy in front of me, wouldn't that be pretty descriptive of what the fuck I'm in?
You would think so.
Yeah. Anyways, I was like, I don't think it's going to be too difficult to find me, considering you have the coordinates and there's a police officer sitting behind me with his red and blues on.
With a 68 C10
With a 68 C10 on a fucking trailer,
Shouldn't be too hard.
Shouldn't be too difficult. So he's like, "Oh, it looks like here you're covered for accidental locks in and roadside assistance." It's like, no shit. Why do you think I am disgusted? Why do you think I'm on the phone with you, man? So he's like, well, we'll get somebody dispatched out there. Mind you, this has been another 20 minutes because I've had to describe everything all over again and blah, blah, blah. And he had to type it into his fucking computer and all this shit. And we're wrapping it up finally. We're finally getting to the end of the insurance
fiasco
to send me out somebody to fucking help, right? Well, it turns out the cop comes up and knocks on the door and I open it and he said, oh, I called a wrecker for you. Well, why didn't you fucking call me a wrecker at the very beginning? Like, why wasn't this, what the fuck? So I was like, that's great. I'm on the phone with the insurance company and I'm like, we're going to see who gets here first. I'm not going to fucking just tell the insurance company, you know what? No. Forget what I said. We're going to see who's quicker. Well, he's like, it could be 90 minutes, an hour to 90 minutes. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever, man. Well, it turns out I get off the phone because he asked me if I feel safe and he can hang up the phone. I was like, I'm pretty good now. I got a dude behind me with a 6-shooter and flashing red and blues. I feel safer than I ever have, So he gets off the phone and we're sitting there and I shit you not, probably 20 minutes goes by at least, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
We were there for 2.5 fucking hours, something crazy. And we see a truck driver go by. And I was like, there goes a truck. There goes a wrecker. I wonder if that's our guy. I think Randy I think you said something.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Possibly.
But we saw a fucking wrecker go by. It's like, yeah, that's probably our guy. Turns out, 10 minutes later, he comes back. It is that guy. And he drove by. Yeah. Are you ready for this? The guy tells me that he drove by once already because he thought we were pulled over because of the police officer behind us with the flashing fucking lights.
Meanwhile, the police officer that called him.
It's the police officer that fucking called you, man. What the hell? So the guy has one of those bags that blows up and opens up the door a little bit. So it turns out he's got this jimmy stick, I guess. I don't know. This fucking long bendable rod thing that he's able to wedge in there. And he puts down the side window. And I'm fucking ecstatic. I round the front of the truck and I'm running up to the fucking window with excitement like a damn 5-year-old getting a fucking Nintendo on Christmas morning. And I don't know what happened, but he must have slipped or whatever and put the fucking window back up. What are you doing? So I go back around.
It wasn't the driver window, so
yeah,
it wasn't good enough.
I guess not. So I go back over there and now he somehow has grabbed a hold of the door handle and literally it takes another at least 5 minutes for him to finally hit another fucking button to open something up. And the guy's like, everything's all squared away. He hands me a bill. He's like, it's $65. It's like, that's great. I don't give a shit. Whatever. So finally we're leaving. After all this, I've literally burnt 120 miles off the tank of gas or whatever the hell it was. It was ridiculous. Yeah. We had just filled up. We got burn a quarter tank or something fucking stupid just sitting there. Tank. Yeah. Fucking ridiculous. So now we're 2.5, 3 hours behind schedule. I was like, when in the fuck is this truck going to be gone? It was
so we had plans of getting there later that day, right before the sun went down. And
we had plans of getting there at 4 o'clock. The golden hour would have been hitting. It would have been perfect time for this truck to be in the sunlight and shit. We get there at a little after 8 o'clock. Because we got stuck in traffic in Nashville.
Well, not there.
Surprise.
Luckily, you have some friends down there, so we ended up staying with some friends.
Yeah, we stayed with some friends. Woke up the next morning, and we literally cleaned for an hour and 45 minutes again. Went all over it again, and even did a little bit of compound and polishing by hand some more. Anyways, delivered the truck finally. After all this shit, finally delivered the truck. Oh, and whenever we ended up leaving, we still looked for another couple miles for that
damn
fucking license plate, and couldn't get it. And the funny thing is, I called the guy who owns it and told him about it, and he already knew about it. He's like, I would have just left it. I was like, yeah, I know that, but I was like, dude, I had to try.
Yeah.
Ended up working out all right. And this is just one story of delivering a vehicle. There's a lot of stories of delivering a vehicle, and I got a lot of random stories from moving from Tennessee to fucking Indiana and from Ohio to Tennessee. There, I got some stories. But yeah, we got there. The client was ecstatic. You know, it was beyond his. He knew what it looked like because he actually physically worked on this truck. He knew what shape it was in, where it was at, and I haven't heard from him since we dropped it off. So, no news is good news.
Yeah, I'll take that.
He was ecstatic. He said he took it for a spin, you know, said thanks and all that stuff. He said about bringing it back next year, doing some paint work, actually, you know, get just the next step in the build, you know. He's going to enjoy it. He's going to love it. Him and his wife are going to have a good time. We'll go out to dinner with it and shit like that. He's got I don't know if he's got multiple kids, just one kid or whatever, but they've been through the process. They know what it's all about and everything, and they care about this truck just as much as he does. And I'm pretty proud of what we ended up doing, and I'm grateful for the work that we got out of it. I'm grateful we were able to put our name on it, and I feel good about it. And we had to share this story for you because it was just this is the shit that nobody tells you about, man. This is behind, you know, you can't make this shit up.
No, this is real life. This happens.
This is all about the build, man.
Yeah.
This is all the shit
can we go through.
Yeah. So,
but we picked up our new project.
We had to come home and pick up another project.
We picked up our new project yesterday. It's gonna be a really cool project. We'll can't wait to share what all that's about.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with what we actually have in the shop right now, we have two other builds that are going on. These are long, ground up builds. This build, the 68, was one of these. I don't want to say we specialize in finishing cars that are halfway through, but I seem like I've done more of those than I can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
It takes a certain talent to be able to finish something that you have no idea what the fuck's going on with it.
Yeah,
basically.
You really don't know what you're getting yourself into until you're knee deep, and I feel like I'm right there with you. I've done a lot of that kind of, you know, part way through.
Rescued some builds. Basically, that's what we end up doing.
Yeah.
We're rescuing builds.
Yep.
Especially when it comes like that. And this next vehicle that's coming in, the guy's actually done really pretty decent work on it.
Yeah.
There's definitely some quality on it. You know, we can pick apart everything and anything, but I feel like it's a good base. It's a good base, and we're going to finish it off just like we did with the 68. You know, it's nowhere near 90% done. I mean, I'd say it's probably, you know, we're looking at, I'd say it's got the exhaust ran a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Basically everything that we did to this 68, we got to do to that.
And then some.
And then some. We got a little bit more metal work on this one than the last one.
Yeah, and finishing off the interior a little bit more and stuff. This doesn't have an interior. I mean, it does, but it's not.
It needs.
It's not a 68 C10. Let's just
this is bomber seats.
This is like a lot of people call hot rod. This, like when we say hot rod, a lot of people think rat rod type of deal. And this is more along that line of, it's not a rat rod by any means. It's actually a pretty high class rat rod, I guess.
I wouldn't consider this a rat rod. This is definitely a hot rod, but it's a different.
It's a
different style hot rod.
Yeah, it's the open wheels. It's the kind of the Model A style, but it's not a Model A. It's actually a 49 Diamond T pickup truck.
It's an old big rig.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. It's got some massive fucking Mickey Thompsons on the back.
Yep.
It's got a big block.
Big block with high-rise intake, and it's going to have dual throttle body. It's going to be fuel injected.
It's pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
So that's what we're getting at. That's where we're going. Like I said, the other projects we haven't really talked about them because we're just in the middle of them. We're just metal work, putting them together and shit. It's the 67 C10. We got a 65 Riviera. And like I said, if you're interested in seeing this stuff, go to our YouTube page, go to our Instagram page, go to our Facebook page, TikTok. Every single one of these avenues is going to have something different about all these cars. So if you haven't followed us on Facebook, that's where you get a lot of updates throughout the week by week updates on what's going on in the shop. And you can follow, and if you didn't know about this fiasco, we were updating throughout the process and the chaos of getting to Tennessee and shit like that. So like, share, make sure to comment if you're on Spotify and stuff like that, hearing it on Spotify. Make sure to go down and rate us. Give us 5 stars if you could, please. I'd love it. If you don't like us, fucking give us 5 stars anyways, man.
Yeah.
But it shares, we're trying to build. We're trying to get our name out there in front of people. We're trying to help people. That's what this is all about. We're trying to give them a different look than just like a half an hour TV show, because that's a lot of stuff that people get, and that's about it. And then everybody sugarcoats shit. We don't want to sugarcoat anything. We want to fucking give you the nitty gritty, the rust in your fucking eyes.
Yeah.
And,
but
before I cut off completely and give the mic to fucking Randy, shout out to Pete.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Pete. Thanks for bringing the muscle.
Yeah, thanks for getting dressed.
Yeah, thanks for putting pants on and coming out and helping us push this truck on the back of the fucking trailer. So here's to you, Pete. Here's to everybody else. Over and out from Elliot Slack. Randy can close down this episode, but cheers to you guys.
We apologize if we didn't get any video of us on the side of the road. Next time we get locked out on a 6-lane highway in the middle, we will for sure video that occurrence and give you guys a better look of what we're dealing with. So next time,
better look at what you're dealing with me bitching and screaming and yelling.
But other than that, yeah, no, it was a fun project at 68, really fun project. I'm grateful for him to let us do that for him, and I'm grateful for this new project here and what we get to do to it. So until next week, I think that's about it.
I.B.F.HotRods over and out. Cheers.
Over and out.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for listening to this episode of It's All About the Build podcast. Please comment and let us know your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel to follow along, and if you haven't already, check out our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to keep up with what we have going on every week. Thank you all for listening.